Hi, I'm Trevor Conquergood. Welcome to this week's RNK Software Club's video of the week. And the topic for this week is an interesting type of stitch called the spiral satin. And all of these images on my screen are shapes that I've converted into a spiral satin. And so let's just go ahead and learn how to do that. First of all, I'll need to have some kind of shape selected to be able to convert it into this cool spiral satin. So why don't we just go ahead and look in our custom shapes library and find some kind of a custom shape. And then once you have your custom shape, you can make that shape any size you want, kind of bigger or smaller. The only thing I will say about that is just notice on my initials over here how if the shape gets too kind of thin, it really doesn't allow this decorative stitch to show off. It wants to have a little bit of column width. So what I'm trying to say is I wouldn't probably try and do a spiral satin on small letters, but bigger letters, no problem, or shapes like this banana should be no problem, right? So now, down at the bottom, these are your satin paths, and it's this one right here that's called the spiral satin. So when you go ahead and click on that, the software is now waiting for me to draw at least one inclination. And so I just click and drag to draw that inclination. And you can draw kind of as many as you want, and they can be on whatever angle you want. And I'll show you how that angle kind of can affect the way the spirals go. Anyway, whenever you've drawn all of your inclinations, you right click. And now it allows you to interact with the little green and little red kind of entry and exit points for the shape. And the next time you right click, it will be done, and it will have created this cool spiral satin effect. And so the reason I guess those are some tips I want to share, I guess. First of all, the entry and exit points kind of matter a little bit because, for example, if that green entry point was kind of set in the middle of the shape, and I'll just hit enter to update that, notice what happens. Of course, the software is going to walk from wherever your entry point is towards the down the center of the shape, unfortunately, and then to the edge where it can then spiral to wherever you put your exit point. And so where you put those exit points and exit and entry points can kind of clean up the stitching, I guess, is what I want you to know. And so depending on the shape you've got, that may be a good tip for you. The other thing is that you can kind of have fun and play with these direction lines, these inclination lines, to create different effects with the way that the spirals are going to go. And so by doing that, I kind of made it spiral around a center line, whereas maybe I could do the opposite and have them go. So anyway, as you can obviously see, this is what they do. The inclinations affect the way that your spiral satin will affect it. And so all of these shapes were very easy to do. You just simply grab another custom shape. And I was kind of playing with the custom shapes in the custom shape library. And I thought another good tip I could give would be, so for something like this bird here, when you first bring it in, this is all one shape. And to make this a spiral satin would probably be not fully successful because unlike a standard fill, which would easily fill in all of the shapes of this bird, if I tried to tell it to be a spiral satin and I drew, I don't know, some inclination lines, it doesn't give me the kind of results that I was hoping for, I guess. And so it'll try, but mine looks a little bit more organized, right? And so what I did, basically, you can either right click and add a split line and tell the software to kind of divide your design like that and see how that works out for you. Or if you really want, so notice that I've done that and I can set my sort of beginning and entry points, but because it's got two shapes really in one at this point, there's always going to be some of this walking underneath. And the way I was able to kind of totally clear that out was by just handling the spiral satin in a different way. So to demonstrate that, what I'm going to do is I'll make a copy of this shape. So now we have two of them. And what I'll do is just convert that one back into artwork. so that you can see right now the issue here is that it's all one shape. And to do what I did, I actually kind of converted it, so it must be all grouped together. I converted it into this shape and that shape. And so by doing that, I guess it allowed me to kind of set each one of these shapes as their own spiral satin path that had their own entry and exit points. That way we didn't get any of that kind of extra stitching underneath, and I could kind of clean it right up. So to do that, basically what I had to do was select the artwork, and this specifically needs to be artwork, right? Because now I can use my object slice tool. I have several different kind of knives that you could choose from, and I'll just use that sort of magnet object splice and click and drag across the shape to create kind of like a divide line, and right click. And so what that did was it took what was one piece of artwork and divided it into kind of like a wing piece and then a body piece. And by doing that, I can take the wing piece and click on the spiral satin option and give it at least that one kind of inclination line. Right click, maybe have it start up at the side here and end down at the bottom. And I get kind of like a clean, I got kind of a mess at the end. So let's see if I can just play with that green spot until I get rid of it. There. So sometimes you have to fiddle with where exactly it is to kind of get it perfect, but then that one's kind of done, and now I can select the next one and also apply the same effect to it. Maybe give it a couple different stitch directions, right click, give it an entry and exit point, right click, and you're done. I'm not sure if I like the way I ended it with the head like that, so I'll just try. Oh, look, see, now I feel like I'm happier about it than after I adjusted that stitch inclination. And so, yeah, you can kind of fuss with them a little bit, but it's such a fun and unique way of filling in shapes. And so all of these were pretty fun and easy to do. Doing my initials was pretty easy, but what I did to get artwork, because it's not that you couldn't start with your text tool and use like regular embroidery text, but what I did was I used the text tool and moved over to the option called Import True Type Font Artwork. Like it'll import letters as actual artwork. So it kind of allows you to then decide how to stitch them out, right? And so, yeah, I did my initials, TC, and I went through my fonts and selected kind of a cool scripty font, but that's not a rule. I could do like any one of these kind of, so these are the fonts that, True Type fonts are the one that come with Windows. And so here's a different one that I'll try. And so I get my initials, TC, and so this is what I was saying here. Currently, they're quite small, and I'm not sure that if I took that letter T and tried to give a spiral satin, that we would get much of a result just based on how kind of teeny it is. So if I want a sort of more interesting result, I think it just needs to be a larger size of embroidery. And so now that I've kind of expanded it like that, I can start to get some of that kind of cool spiral stitching that I'm looking for. And now I think it's just a matter of playing with the inclinations. So notice how I can go back to the shape tool. So let me select the shape and then change to my shape tool, and that allows me to continue. Maybe I need to have more inclinations, and so I'll right click and say add inclinations, and maybe if I try adding another one there. So that kind of changed it, and that's the point, I think, of all of this, is that it's just, it's a bit of an adventure, but you can notice obviously I've got my exit point set there, and obviously that would be easy to fix because we'll just go back into shape mode and move that red exit point down to here, and that'll kind of clean it up a little bit more. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a fun, interesting, decorative style of stitching, and it is easy to apply. So once again, have a wonderful day. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.